My name is Hannah Williamson. I am a senior corporate recruiter with Beacon Hill Staffing Group. I am actually responsible for all of our entry-level hiring, specifically for the Northeast, North Carolina, and of course, South Carolina. So I'm excited to chat with some of our distinguished alumni today about their careers and kicking things off in staffing.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kendall Ciancia, and I am a staff consultant with Beacon Hill Technologies, so the IT division.
Hey y'all, my name is Jordan. I am a staffing consultant at Beacon Hill Technologies in the Charlotte office.
I also graduated with Kendall and Jordan back in 2019 and started in June. I am an account executive with Beacon Hill, also in our Charlotte tech office.
Hi guys, I am Samantha Nash. I am a staffing consultant in our Charlotte office for Beacon Hill Technologies. I actually just started in July, so only been here a few months, and I graduated from Clemson in May, so I'm excited to kind of tell you a little bit about my experience here at Beacon Hill. I was involved in ADPI at Clemson, as well as majored in marketing, as well as was a part of the brand communication team.
First, I think it's important for the audience to know, Clemson, I personally didn't get to go to Clemson, but from my exposure to hearing from all of you, I think the word that pops out is like Clemson family community. So briefly, I want to hear and have you guys actually tell the audience, 4 years at Clemson, what's your most memorable tradition, biggest memory that you want to share?
My favorite memory from when I was there was when I was a freshman in college, so 2015, and we played Notre Dame, and it was a night game, and it was pouring down rain, and really, really close, and we ended up pulling out the win, and it was just, so much fun storming the field with just being absolutely soaked and just being so excited about that, and then going on to the national championship that year.
Like I said earlier, I played on the club tennis team for my 4 years. It was a great experience for me. And my senior year, we actually went to the national championship, which was in Arizona. So we got to fly out as a team and kind of pretend like we were D1 athletes, which was pretty fun. We didn't end up doing too hot, but it was the opportunity that was fun about it. And it's something I'll never forget from my time at Clemson, for sure.
In terms of what attracted you to staffing, let's start there. So how does your undergraduate experience at Clemson, how did that actually lead into wanting to start a career at Beacon Hill and specifically in the world of staffing? Let's start with Kendall first.
So for me specifically, I had always been interested in a fast-paced environment, juggling a lot of things at a time. I grew up in a competitive sports background, so I played tennis and field hockey. Travel teams, competitive weekends, all of that. So I definitely wanted that type of aspect in my job too.
So unlike the other two, I actually never wanted to do sales. I knew nothing about staffing. My boss actually and one of my current coworkers came to the career fair, and I just started chatting with them just about nothing. And I realized that chatting with people, to be honest, was the one commonality between everything else that I was doing, because I was applying for jobs in large Fortune 500 companies, doing strategy positions, doing operation roles, and other, just all over the place. But at the end of the day, what I really loved was just making connections with people.
Yeah, so kind of like all of Jordan and Ken both said, I went into school thinking I was going to do sales. That was my track, going through marketing, did the sales innovation program, and actually met our director and a few of the team members at the career fair my junior year, and got to talking with them. And they were like, are you interested in an internship? Because I really liked the idea of staffing, didn't really understand really what it was, but knew that was a track of sales that was interesting to me, and we didn't technically learn about that in school. So it was super intriguing for me. And like Hannah said, I did get the opportunity to serve as an intern last summer, which gave me an awesome opportunity to see kind of how the day-to-day was, how the team was, kind of the atmosphere here in Charlotte. And that's kind of, after that summer, decided that this is the track I wanted to do, and thankfully got an offer with Beacon Hill and was able to kind of continue once I graduated in May.
But definitely, I think it'd be helpful for everyone out there in the audience to hear a little bit more about the specifics, as we do have different tracks that ultimately you kind of can go down. So Kendall, why don't you start off in telling us your title, a little bit more just so that the attendees can understand exactly what your day-to-day looks like, and then maybe even talk us through a recent success or a recent placement that you've seen in your day-to-day.
So my specific role is a staffing consultant, basically copies as a recruiter. And I work, like I said earlier, all on our IT stuff. So we work anywhere from like an entry-level data analyst type position that we would get right out of college, or we work high-level developers or architect positions as well. So anything in between. And it has been a huge learning curve with IT. I had absolutely no knowledge of IT or technical anything before I started. So it is a learning curve, but once you kind of get the gist of it, you do pick it up easily. So to put it pretty simply, I work on the job seekers side of the business. So there's two sides of it, people who are looking for work and then those clients that are hiring the work. So I work with people that are looking for work. And I work pretty much specifically only in the Charlotte area. We range anywhere from like Fort Mill, if you guys know where that is, all the way up to like Lake Norman, basically like a 50-minute radius of Charlotte. I'm from Philadelphia, so I wasn't also familiar with Charlotte either. So definitely was a big learning curve at first, but that's kind of the main gist of it. A basic example of my day-to-day, our managers, every morning we have a call. They'll assign us to one or two open roles that our salespeople bring in. So Maddie is an example of a salesperson. She would bring in a job, say it was an entry-level data analyst position. All they need is Excel. We would work on something like that. So basically, I would set up my desk that day to send out a lot of LinkedIn messages to recent grads that might have graduated in computer science or in finance or whatever it kind of relates to industry-wise. Schedule connection calls based off of those messages. Search on open job boards for updated profiles and resumes, and then call them specifically about the opening that I have and connect that way.
And then the flip side for Maddie, if you wouldn't mind touching upon a little bit more about the account executive role and how ultimately, your day-to-day kind of runs in terms of connecting with clients and maybe a recent success on your end too.
Basically, my job every single day is to talk to managers that are in a specific line of business. And so my line of business is consumer lending. And so I will go on LinkedIn, I will do whatever I can to figure out who those managers are, connect with them, and then just talk about, what their staff looks like, what their projects are, where they're going, they see their team building out to. And I think it's been a really interesting opportunity because, especially right now, some people obviously are still looking to build out their team, but also some people are, having to make shifts because there are different situations with budgets that are happening. So I'm also able to be kind of a market expert to these managers. And they're saying, some of them have said, for example, XYZ coworker of mine may have to let some people go. Do you have any knowledge where you could send them? And so I'm able to also be that person of connection. But at the end of the day, my job is to talk to managers, and my job is to figure out their hiring needs and how to make their team the best it can be.
I think it's so important for anyone out in the audience to know that they can join a company that you actually can see success. You can see those tangible goals and metrics when it comes to career growth. So I want to open this up to hear from Jordan as well as from Maddie in terms of that career trajectory. So Jordan, let's start off. Tell me a little bit more about kind of where you see career growth for you.
Yeah, so for me, career growth is looking like the sales fast track. So it's the same fast track that Maddie already completed. So I decided to start it later, after taking about a year in recruiting. I felt like I needed that and then would be ready to go into sales from there. Just as a recruiter, there are a lot of different ways for you to grow by growing your spread. So you're growing your commission. There are always management opportunities. But for me, I always knew that sales was the path that I wanted to take. So I'm on the fast track right now, which the beginning of that looks a lot just hitting recruiting numbers that are really important, making sure that you have a really good understanding of what you need to do to be a recruiter. And then from there, it goes more into meeting with clients, setting your own meetings, developing those relationships to help build your own book of business. So it is a bit different with COVID. Obviously, we can't go on site and meet clients or anything like that. So it's been paused just for a little bit, but we're going to be, getting back into that virtually as soon as we can. For me, that's what that will look like.
Like I said earlier, I did start as an intern last summer, so I was here for 2 months. It was awesome. Got to move up to Charlotte and get to work a typical 8 to 5 job, which is really new for a lot of students. So that was something that was nice for me because it was new to me. So in my internship, I actually kind of got to see both sides. I got to see the staffing consultant side as well as the account executive side. So kind of coming in and did typical tasks of an intern, but also that process of learning what staffing was really helpful for me. So I got to sit in on some of the trainings with the new hires last summer, and then also got to attend some client meetings with some of the account executives and tag along and kind of see that side of things. So I had a big, broad picture of it, as well as towards the end of my summer, I also got to hop on the phones and talk to some candidates and even kind of submit them to some roles and really get the feel of what a true staffing consultant was, even as an intern, which is awesome, like getting that hands-on experience, because a lot of places you're not afforded that opportunity. So it was awesome that they trusted me enough to hop on the phones and work with candidates. And then transitioning into starting my role this July, we have been doing a lot of different trainings this year, which has been awesome since everything has been virtually. It has kind of thrown a wrench in the plan of typically sitting all in the conference room together and really doing those trainings together. So the wonderful thing about Beacon Hill is they are implementing some national trainings as well as some regional trainings. So that's been awesome for me to kind of get to meet some of the teams. We have Boston in our region, so getting to meet a lot of the Boston new hires and seeing how their transition is going into a new role, as well as learning everything, because like everyone has said, coming into a staffing role, most people have no idea really what you're getting into. You kind of know the basics, kind of know what recruiting is to an extent, but really diving deep in these trainings have been really helpful because we've gotten to talk to directors from different regions. We've gotten to talk to different staffing consultants in the different offices and really learning the process and how to do it correctly, because coming in on your first day, you really don't have a process. You don't really know what kind of a day-to-day is going to look like. So it's been awesome to do that regionally as well as nationally. So that has been something that has been really interesting and awesome to learn, is working with all the new hires around our company and really kind of honing in on our skills and really getting an understanding of what this job is.
Love to just kind of hear a little bit more in depth. And what are your favorite parts about the job? What would you say, really is what gets you going every day to say, wow, this is why I do what I do?
There's a lot of good things that I get to do every day. And it might sound cliche, but my favorite thing about the day really is being able to connect with people that are here in Charlotte with me. They understand the area, understand the market. Most of them are really professional people who have been working for 5, 10, 15, sometimes 20 years. And they really just understand tech and Charlotte, and they don't even know, but they're helping me with my job. And then on the flip side, I'm helping them as well. And knowing that you're going to be a piece of that puzzle and kind of help them with their next opportunity, it's definitely a really good feeling.
My favorite part kind of my day-to-day is seeing what I'm learning kind of transition to results.
I like to say that we have a lot of fun here at Beacon Hill. So what would you say, and obviously you guys are more specific to Charlotte, but this can be on a nationwide scale for fun traditions at Beacon Hill as well. What would you say are your favorite office or Beacon Hill traditions that you've experienced so far? Why don't we start with Kendall?
For me specifically, something that I didn't really know before I came to Beacon Hill, we do quarterly outings. So I guess that is 4 times a year. We do something really fun. We'll usually leave work a little bit early and go do an activity. So I know in the past our office has done breakout rooms, laser tag, kind of like a game bar, so like an arcade game bar. My favorite was we went to the Whitewater Center in Charlotte, which for those that don't know, it's like a zip lining, whitewater rafting, hiking, bungee jumping, all of that kind of stuff. So we went there one day during work, and I went zip lining. It was about 100 degrees. I thought I was going to pass out, but it was really fun.
Have a huge end of year party. So it's called the holiday party, and it's in Boston. So they fly everyone and a +1 up to Boston. We stay in this beautiful, like old fashion kind of hotel, and we get there. So it's Wednesday through Saturday. You can stay longer if you'd like. You get there, you can hang out, whatever. On Thursday night, they rent out this gorgeous big area, and we do like prizes for people that have hit certain numbers, and they walk on stage and we get a great dinner, and then we end the night with a ton of dancing.
Describe your Beacon Hill experience that you've had. If everyone wants to give maybe just one word, what that really looks like for you, we'll kind of round things out before Q&A.
Yeah, so I would say I couldn't narrow it down to one word, Hannah, but it's more of a phrase. My phrase is going to be challenging but motivating. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's going to be the easiest thing you're going to do, and if you choose this job that you're going to glide through your days. That's definitely not it. It's very hard work, challenging. You have to put time into it and you have to put effort into it. But when you do something right, even if it's a small victory or the biggest victory, which would be making a placement, it's really motivating. And when you feel the good energy, you want to keep moving on that. And that's just kind of how I've always been, just from my background in sports. When you do something right, you want to keep doing that over and over. So it definitely will challenge you. It will definitely not be super easy. You're not going to glide, but you are motivated along the way with the things that you can do.
Yeah, and kind of what I was going to say, definitely along with that, my word is going to be collaborative. So, if you are having, not a great day, then it's your coworkers who are there to, lift you up, to tell you, hey, I know that sucks. Let's do this next time, or here's how we can change this, or let me help you with this. And then when you're having an awesome day and something great is happening, they're the first ones to congratulate you. We actually have a gun that's filled with money. So we shoot the gun off when someone makes a placement. So, you learn how to work really well with people, especially people of all different ages. We have new grads and people who have been working for almost 30 years. So, and then you work internally and you get to meet clients, work with a bunch of just different kinds of people. So it really does, make your level of professionalism increase, but also gives you the support system that makes being a real adult a lot better.
And while we wait for maybe a few questions just to come in, I think it's important to really even just round out big picture. Ultimately, staffing itself, what is really the reason why companies may even use a staffing firm? I would say that Beacon Hill, for anyone out there in the audience, outside of the vision of Charlotte, of what we've talked about today, any of our clients, from Fortune 500s down through startups, they are utilizing our services. We connect with these clients across any sort of different industry, from real estate to nonprofits to law firms, banks, financial services firms. The list goes on and on. I mean, to know that every single one of our cities and every single one of our divisions is going to have a little bit different of a focus and a different specialty outside of what we've learned today, definitely with the focus in on technologies, as a lot of our panelists do represent that team. Our Charlotte office is also broken down into other divisions as well. So we have our associates group. They're going to focus more so on the temporary contract roles that they're going to see short-term contracts in their day-to-day. It could be we get a call from a client and they have an urgent need because their front-end receptionist just left sick for the day, and we need someone who can actually fill in tomorrow at 8 a.m. They're going to find that person. Or, even like our financial group that also sits in Charlotte. Maybe they're going to have a longer-term assignment similar to the tech group, that they have a client calling into us and saying, hey, our payroll coordinator is actually going out on maternity leave and we need someone who can fill in for maybe the next 3 or 4 months. We're going to find that person. So to know that ultimately that these companies are coming to Beacon Hill as they know we have the top talent. They know we are connecting in our pipeline with so many different types of candidates who could be a good match for their given jobs. And that's ultimately why people are utilizing staffing. So I do see a question that just came in here. I want to make sure we address it. 1 second. Okay. Biggest advice for someone who may be coming into applying to Beacon Hill? Great question. Absolutely. So first and foremost, I would say that, ultimately we want you to be able to explore your job search as much as possible. If you are going to be interviewing within the world of staffing and specifically with Beacon Hill, that actually would start directly with me. I do work as the corporate recruiter overseeing this full process. So probably would start with an initial conversation between you and I, really dive into the nitty-gritty details. But my best advice for anyone who's approaching the application process and that interview process from everything that you've learned today is really be able to put all of the pieces together. You're going to learn so much about the team, about who you're interviewing with, being able to really connect the dots through that entire process of understanding, one, why this is something that you want to go into, why sales, why is it that you're going to be finding yourself successful in a goal-driven, sales-driven environment, and being able to really use each one of the conversations that you have to ultimately build upon itself and to say, okay, big picture, this is why I want this opportunity, so that we may come to the end of the interview process and want to make sure that it's a really good mutual fit. Our entire intention of bringing any new hire onto our team is we're never going to have a start class of 20, 30 people all to start together in that big classroom setting where it's like, let's see who sinks or swims in this process. I do know other staffing firms do approach their hiring like that, and nothing against it. I just believe that ultimately, where we want to invest in our new hires, that ultimately we're going to give you the tools, the resources, as you've learned today, so that you can actually get to this point in your career and look back and all of a sudden be like, wow, it's been a year and a half. I've grown, I've matured, I'm professional. All of those factors we're teaching you day to day. So I would say that ultimately, keeping that in mind, that we do really want to bring on that smaller start class, like I believe Jordan mentioned, group of about 4 to 5, potentially, that would be the most we might onboard at a given time, but really allowing that we would, want to make sure you have all of those tools, all of those resources. Awesome. Let's see. What would be the single biggest factor that made you choose Beacon Hill when you were in your interview process? Let's actually have, Jordan, why don't you chime in and kind of talk a little bit about your experience and what really stood out if you were interviewing with any other staffing firms at the time?
Yeah, so I think that there are a couple of different things that really stood out to me. One of them was, as I mentioned earlier, how much I loved the team. I actually came in and, sat down, and we were supposed to be on task about what, staffing is and everything, but I sat down and we talked about football for like 2 hours longer than I was supposed to be there. So I definitely did just connect with the team, but a couple other things did stand out to me. One thing is I kind of think, in my experience, that Beacon Hill invests the most in you and in your success versus the other staffing companies that I did interview with. You are here, you're starting out as a salaried employee. The second you walk in the door, you could make spread. It's not that you have to, have a certain amount of contractors and then you can start getting money for it. Like, no, Beacon Hill's like, you're going to put this work in, then you're immediately going to see something for that work. So I think just overall, between how the team was and kind of some specific things that they did that a lot of other staffing companies don't, I just felt a lot more valued here than I did anywhere else.
Awesome. Absolutely. Great. Well, I will say the last question I do want to make sure, and I know it's 6 o'clock on the dot, so I want to be mindful for anyone in the audience, but the important qualities of someone who's really going to be successful. I think you probably have picked up on a lot of what we've mentioned so far today from 4 absolutely exemplary examples. I hate to use that word again, but for the people who've really found a ton of success in this business. If I look at this panel across the board, where I see someone actually in the qualities that embody anyone who does well in this business, it's number 1, having a really strong work ethic. This job is not easy. We will not sugarcoat it. We definitely want people, who are going to come in, who are going to work hard and definitely know you're going to be supported through that whole process. There will be ups, there will be downs. I think second, in addition to that, is a level of resiliency. I know I'll use Maddie's word again, whiplash, to be able to not just say, wow, okay, that happened, and then, okay, this is too much for me. I think to have that sense of resiliency, that there will be those challenging parts. You do have to push through the hard parts of the job and sometimes have tough conversations with candidates, with clients across the board. But I think ultimately, it's wanting to work hard. It's wanting to really have that level of resiliency. And ultimately, at the end of the day, work with people, build relationships, maintain relationships with people while doing so in an environment that you're going to have this recipe for success, the goals, the metrics that are going to really guide you down that path, and the support from everyone else around you to get you through that. So I think having that that drive, having that motivation, that if you want to be better than you were yesterday, that's, I think, the mentality is I want that internal level of competition, that I want to win. I want to be able to get to the next level, get to the next promotion, get to the next placement, earn higher commission. All of it's tied to really what you do on a day-to-day. So if you have that grit and you have that mentality that I'm going to do my job and I'm going to do it well, and I'm going to know that I have people who care about my success, that's what's going to make someone successful here. Right. Well, I'm looking at the list of questions, and I do definitely want to be mindful of everything that we've talked about today. So if there are any further questions, if you're interested in actually applying to our different positions, follow up with me directly. We have opened up our entry-level hiring process as soon, to start actually interviewing in the next few weeks. Our managers are definitely open to having conversations sooner rather than later. If it is that you are ready to jump in, follow up with me directly. My email address is actually attached, I believe, to the follow-up survey. So look out for that as soon as you do exit from the panel today. Please fill that out. We would love any and all sorts of feedback, as well as to continue the conversation and to ultimately, have you part of our interview process. So please follow up. Any other additional questions, happy to share, as I know these guys are great resources, even just their contact information for more specific questions. But thank you again, everyone, for your time tonight. And we look forward to, ultimately having you continue the conversation with Beacon Hill. So go Tigers.